Okay, it is 11:31, and it is December 18th, and it's the first time we are doing Training Tuesday instead of Template Tuesday. We started Template Tuesday when we launched Ontrapages, and that was a few months ago, I want to say. And we went in there and we figured we would, show you how to use this very sophisticated new landing page builder that we built. And we did that for several weeks, week after week. And I think we pretty much covered it. Those videos are in the units section of the Facebook group. So check those out if you feel confused by Ontraport pages, and want to see how you can use it better. We've done a lot of demonstration of how to use functionality in there. And so then it got to be where I felt like we pretty much covered Ontraport pages and wanted to start talking about other parts of the app. So we've changed the name from Template Tuesday to Training Tuesday. And I'm just going to get in here for a while and show you various parts of the app. We kind of started it last week. What the hell did I show you? Oh, tracking. Yeah, performance mode, UTM variables, valuable stuff. If you are an Ontraport Pro customer and have access to UTM tracking, you should definitely be using it. A lot of sophisticated information you can get out of performance mode in campaigns, and I went through a lot of it there. So today I thought I would kind of wind it back from the the kind of like advanced stuff we were talking about last week and kind of start at the beginning with one of the building blocks of this whole system, because there's actually a lot to collections. And many of you may think you know all about these things. Some of you might, but I'm thinking that there's stuff to learn here for just about everybody, because this is a powerful tool, and knowing everything about how this thing works is going to be super useful to you, because collections are used all over the app, and used well, they can give you all kinds of information, access to information. It's how we segment our list, it's how we sift and sort our data, it's how we find what we need to find, it's how we display things in useful ways, data in useful ways. Used all over the app, just about everywhere. Most of the screens really are collections. So I thought I'd just go through and do a kind of a deep tour of this thing, because honestly, we have some videos, we have a little intro thing, but they're all pretty light touches on what is actually a pretty sophisticated feature here. So I'm going to just get started here and go through this. I didn't really put together a presentation or anything, so I'm just going to kind of talk through this as it makes sense to me, and hopefully we'll get through this in about 30 minutes, and you'll learn something useful that you'll be able to use throughout your lifetime as an Ontraport client. So collections, what is a collection? A collection is this thing that we're looking at right now. It's how we show you the data that we've collected on your behalf in your account. And this is a very flexible and powerful tool. So a collection is made up of a bunch of different parts, and a few of them have some differences. For example, if you go to tasks, this is the tasks collection. You'll see that this has some built-in feature filters here, but largely otherwise it's about the same. If you go into sales, you'll see your reports are the same. Your partner programs are built with collections. Your pages, the list of pages you've built already, are displayed to you in a collection. Your tracking results, your contacts, your companies, everything in the system is displayed to you in a collection. And so again, useful to really understand deeply how these things work and what they are capable of. So collection is starting up here at the top. It's showing you how many records are currently being shown in the group that's being displayed. So this account has, you know, you can go to the all group and see that this is a demo account, 999 contacts there, but I've got this has purchased something. What is that? This is the groups. So groups are the way that we filter and sort the data in our collection. So it's nice that we can see all of our contacts here, but many times you're going to want to see, you know, not all of them. If you've got 100,000 contacts, it doesn't make sense to try and dig through, you know, all your entire database to find a particular contact. So that's what we have groups for. So groups, you can make a new group here. There's two ways to make a new group. You can do it here, or you can just click Edit Group when you're looking at the all group. And you can name this thing My New Group. And then this is all just conditions. So groups are like saved searches, and they will contacts or whatever, you know, sort of data you're looking at, messages, pages, whatever it might be, they will show up if they match the criteria that you set in the group. So for example, if the groups here is first name contains, notice that you might not want to say equals, because that means it can't be anything else. But if I say first name contains land, you can see that this is my test group here. And so now we've got all the landins, and there's 26 of them. And you can go in here, you can edit the group, and you can add new conditions. You could say last name contains or equals Ray. And now we're going to get a smaller group because you know, 1, 2, 3 test, and you know, isn't Ray. So now we've just got 5 contacts, and that's useful. It'll show here that you've got 5. It also shows that your entire database is currently filtered by this group called My New Group. Now, when you do search, which is over here, the search functionality searches just those contacts that are in the group that's displayed. Not only that, it only will search the fields that are displayed here as columns. We'll get to how you organize these columns in a minute, but just so you know, when you search, it's going to search in this group, and it's going to search just the data in the columns here. So if I search for 1, 2, 3, you'll see that I've got Landon 1, 2, 3 Ray shows up, and you'll also see up here that it's showing me again that I'm now filtering by 1, 2, 3 and my new group, and so this is the one contact that is available in that group. Now, I can, you know, click out this X and remove that filter. You can see my search term is now gone. I can also X this one out, and I'll get back to my all group. So another thing that's worth knowing is that you click on this thing and you can just start typing, and you can search your list of groups. So many of you will end up with a lot of groups in here. We certainly have a lot in our Ontraport account, and you would never want to like scroll through 1,000 groups trying to find your group. So if I want to find the has purchased something, I can just start typing, and then I can use my arrow keys up and down, hit enter, and there I have my group. Now, once I have my group, I can do a bunch of different things. Of course, I can click into a record and look at the entire record. I'm not going to deal with that right now. We may talk about setting up our records in another template, or what is it? Training Tuesday. But I can also select these suckers. So just to be clear, you know, you figure this out. If you click on any of the data, you go into the record. But if you click anywhere else, like in the spaces or on the checkbox, you end up selecting this thing, and the action bar comes down. So all the stuff you can do to this contact shows up here. Email them, SMS, task, tag them, campaigns. You can do it to more than one. You can also select all in the group or just all on the page. So if you have, for example, if I go 993 contacts, I can select all on the page, just the first 50, or I can select all of them that are in the group, 993. So I can do that. I can unselect a few. I can come back here, unselect all. But when I select them all, I'm going to then, you know, if I add a tag, it's going to add a tag to all those those records at once. So that's how we do group actions. Of course, you can send an email to a group like this, stuff like that. And you can do the same thing here. If I go in here and search for Landon, we're going to end up with 43 contacts. And now I've got, it shows you 43 are the people that I'm going to send to if I select all in group right now. There's only one page of these contacts, so all in page and all in group are the same in this instance. So that should all be pretty self-explanatory. You can add a new contact, of course, here. Let's see what else we got on the outside. Search, we've got, we can search, we can pin a group. This pinning thing is pretty cool. You can pin a groups for quick access. And then you can search for your pins here. So for example, if I pin this guy, then that'll show up here, right here, contact list, search for Landon. So I can save that search. And you can pin a bunch of things. This is, a way to use this is if you're, working on a particular, say you're working on a particular campaign, and the campaign might, have, some pages to go with it. So I've just pinned this campaign, and then maybe it has a couple of pages that go with this thing, and maybe there's some emails that go with it that I'm working on a lot right now because I'm putting this campaign together, and now I can come in here and see all this stuff that I have selected. Let's see, what have I got? The emails, the landing page, the campaign itself, stuff like that, and then it'll just take you right to that sucker when you go there. So that's what the pinning item is all about. Let's see. Then here we have the place that we add columns. So this is important. So first of all, notice that you can hover over these columns and move the right side of so this is like the email column, and over here I'm moving the right side of the sucker, and that works for all these columns. I can organize these things. It'll save my setup, the spacing, and what columns I'm showing on a per group basis. So that's interesting information to know. That if I want to, for example, look at has purchased something. Notice that all these columns just changed. Like it's showing me a total of all the money that these contacts have spent. And that was not set up there in the all group. That's because it saved this kind of layout with the fields and the spacing on a per group basis. By default, when you create a new group, it's going to start with the layout from the all group. So whatever you've got set up as all, it will be copy the all group. But then after you edit it, it'll save your changes. That's important to know. Another thing that you might want to know, I actually should probably talk about, is there's this whole thing about permissions. You can delete this group, you can copy the group, but you can also share this group. So only I can view and edit this group. So that's obviously not going to share this group with all my other users on the system. Only I can edit it, but everyone can view. So I want my people to see it, but I don't want them screwing up my group. Or you can just make it public. Everyone can view and edit this thing. What's interesting here is when you share it, the first time your users look at it, it'll show your layout in the group in terms of the fields that are displaying in the columns, but then they can actually edit it and mess with the columns on their own. But what they can't do if they don't have permissions is edit the criteria inside there. So that's important to know. So let's see. Now we've got our columns laid out. You can also notice here you have a pencil when you hover over these suckers. Oh, of course, it's probably obvious, but you can sort by these things. If you click it again, it sorts up. So sort down and sort up. And then if you click the sucker, you can actually change the field. So you can go through here and find, fax number, because everybody uses fax anymore. So I just select the fax here, and then I can actually drag the sucker around and drop it in other places. If I want to move it over and then hit my checkbox, and all of a sudden the emails disappeared. Now we have a fax number over here, and we can organize that as we like. And of course, if we click this plus over here, we just get a new field. And so that is how we add fields to the sucker. And if you add a bunch, you're gonna end up with a horizontal scroll bar. And that's just how life is. So that is about that. Now I want to show you also, let's see, I'm going to turn this off. Down here in the lower right, you're going to see results 1 through 50 of 993. It tells you how many you're looking at. You've also got, pagination, so I can go to page 5. I can click there and just go to page 5. I can page back 1 page to 4. I can page back all the way to the beginning, of course. Now this is important. You guys may or may not appreciate this. Maybe you just all use 50 records all the time. But if you don't need to be looking at 50 records all the time, you might not want to use that here. And the reason is because it'll actually speed up your account, the loading of the pages if you look at fewer records. Reason being that we actually load a bunch of data. Of course, we have to load all the data on this screen, but we also, in order to make this quick, we load all the data that's on this first screen in all those records. And so if you add 50 records to your account, to your first screen, especially some of you guys like to have, you don't like to use tabs here to organize your data, so you put all your information in the first tab here, and then you show 50 contacts, and we're basically loading the entire record for all 50 contacts before we can show you that screen. So you can, if you discover that you have an account that takes a while to display as you click around, consider limiting the number of records you show per page, to just a number that you actually need to see. That's a hot tip to make things speedier. Now, what else have we got on this page? Of course, we have our brand new Help Center. This is super useful. We've got all these different walkthroughs that'll just walk you right through how to do a bunch of different things in your account. We've got step-by-step guides. So again, if you want to learn about progressive profiling, there's a video here that will tell you how it works and walk you right through it. Lots of great training there. Of course, all these resources. We put our boot camp here on a page for you. So if you want to go through the entire 3-day course, you can just take a look at this. And our wonderful Rochelle Yoshida is teaching the entire course that people pay, I don't know what it is, a couple $1,000, $1,500, something like that, to come out in Santa Barbara to spend a week with us. Well, we recorded one of them, and here it is. So there's going to be a new version actually coming out in January or February. That's got it's kind of been updated. This is I don't know, maybe a year old or something like that, but it's still very valuable. But we'll be updating this with a new version, I think next month. But super valuable resource there. We've got our use cases here, Ontraport Insights, success stories, Ontrapalooza information, and of course, what else do we got here? Contact support, chat, schedule a screen share, submit a ticket, look at your own support tickets, get to feature requests and vote them. You can chat our support team here, and of course, read the docs in the support center. So that's useful information. Also, we have this thing called About This Page. And so whatever page you're looking at, there's a bunch of good information here about every page. So for example, if I go to tasks and I look at About This Page, it's got a bunch of stuff about tasks, partner programs, all these different pages have useful information about the page you're looking at here. So tons of resources here on how to learn this thing. And let's see, a couple things, other things I wanted to show you. Here is one. I want to show you how I got, well, first of all, there's card view. We'll get to that in a second. But before we get there, I want to show you how I got that this total here. So this comes from the spent field. And actually, that's not a good example, is it? Maybe it is. Let's see. I want to show you here. If I go to settings and go to the field editor, there's a setting in these fields. let's see, I don't know if spent is actually in here. I think it's probably not. So that's just a system field. But if I have a any numeric field in here, or a price field, it's got this option here: show the total at the top, show the average at the top, or show nothing. And so what that means is if I select this and I save that, and then I save my new field map, and that was the field called number 4. So if I go back here and I add, I search for number 4 and I add that to my field, and then let's see if I have any fields with, I gotta add it in the all group too. I've got nothing with number 4. No, but you can see here at any rate, this is now adding this up. It's created this totals field. And so if I go in here and go down to number 4, of course, and where'd that sucker go? Right here. And I go back. Now we'll see that this now has a total up top. So that's useful if you want to, do things like, total up the number of, times people have whatever it might be, have visited a page or whatever. You can, add that up into a field. You can create your custom lead scoring and, add those up, average them for a group, see if one group has a better average lead score than another. Lots of possibilities there. Okay, and then of course there is card view. Now the card view only doesn't exist in all group objects now, but it does exist in your contacts, in companies, deals, and any other custom objects that you've created. So if we go to contacts and we select card view here, how this works is that you select, here's your settings for this particular view of card view, and what you do is you've got here a list not of all your fields, but all the fields that are drop down type fields. And so I could select, for example, state if I wanted to, and what it would do is it would take and show all my contacts, 993 of them, segmented by what state they're in. So it takes the values of that drop down and it makes them into columns, and then it shows where those people are coming from, and it shows the total at the top: 364 from Alaska, 2 from Arizona, 2 from Arkansas, 306 from California. Uncategorized is those contacts who don't have any value in that field, so they're uncategorized. You can minimize these columns so I don't have to look at them. I can drag them around and reorder them if I want to. I can click here to add a new contact with this particular value already filled out, so it'll show up in that column. I can select all in this column if I want to select all 336 of these people in Alaska and send them an email. I can easily do that here, or tag them or whatever. I've got the normal actions. Of course, I've got groups just like before. So if I look at sales pipeline, you'll notice now that if I go to this group, it also saves the layout. And part of the layout is whether I look at this group in column view or card view, and collection view or card view. So now I'm looking at this particular group in card view, and next time I come back, it'll remember that. I've selected in here the sales pipeline, so it's the stages in my pipeline are now my columns. Sort cards by will tell me how vertically it wants to sort these suckers. So manual sort means I can reorganize them manually, which is nice. Otherwise, I can sort them by last name, and it will ascending or descending, and it will save that for me. And then of course I can't manual sort them; it'll just automatically do it. If I pop them in here, it'll put the W's at the bottom. Let's see, what else have I got here? This allows me to show either the full card or the mini card. Three fields on a mini card. Full card has as many fields as you like, and so you can decide whether you're going to show these smaller cards that take up less space so you can see more cards, or you can have a full view of your cards on here. And then the select a color field is the field that determines what these colors are. So in this case, time since last activity. This here is set up to tell me that this person hasn't been active in a long time. This person was active in my account more recently. There are definitely videos that explain how to set this stuff up and how to use this. So I won't get too much more into how to use CardView right now, but I will point out that you have the ability to edit the values of this. This is my sales pipeline. So if I wanted to edit the columns in here, I'd have to actually edit the field. And this says you're actually editing the underlying field. So if you delete values here, you're deleting data in your records. But if you add values, you're creating more columns. It's kind of cool. And so that, of course, you can refresh your data here so you can see what's new since you last looked. And I think, and this is kind of cool. It shows the color field values. So if I want to just display my hot leads, I can do that very easily. Or people that have, visited my site this month, or cold leads, or back to all of them. Okay, so I think that largely shows you how to manage data in Ontraport. One of the things I just want to show you here is that in contacts, it's obvious how to create your segments, right? You can create groups based on anything you like, whether they've spent money with you, what state they're from, whether they've filled out a particular form, whether they're on a campaign, whether they have a tag. You can do multiples of those things. You can create very sophisticated groups and have a bunch of different conditions. Save those things for later use. In some of the other collections, like landing pages, for example, you have fewer options. There's not that many fields, but it is worthwhile to think about using names. Oops, not contains. You can say ebook. If you end up with a lot of pages, ebook pages. So I can say name contains ebook, and all of a sudden I have a group of just my ebook pages, which is useful, right? So now I can look at the various groups of pages or messages. Certainly useful if you're looking at you're looking at messages here, and you might want to see like my sell a product pages. And so if you imagine in advance that you're going to make groups based on the names of your messages or your pages, then it may inspire you to think about how you name your messages and your pages so that you can easily create groups about them later. So using naming conventions that make sense so that you can make groups and easily be able to find your assets, whether they're campaigns or pages, emails, whatever it might be. Okay, so hopefully this is useful. We're going to sock this away into the units tab of the Facebook group so that you can look at it in the future. If you're a new user, I hope this was useful. If you're an old user, hopefully you saw something that you didn't know. Thanks for joining us, and we will continue this Training Tuesday situation in the new year. Have a happy end of the year, folks. Thanks for joining us.